Welcome to the University of South Carolina College of Pharmacy podcast. Sarah Davis joins us to share more about her research with HIV. Sarah is a Ph.D. candidate who is presenting her dissertation and will graduate with her Doctor of Pharmaceutical Sciences degree. Sarah, thank you for joining us. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Where did you do your undergraduate and master's work?
Thank you, Margaret, for having me. I am originally from Michigan. I grew up right outside Detroit, Michigan. Did my Bachelor's of Science in Biochemistry at the University of Michigan, graduated in 2016, and then from there I went and pursued a master's degree in cell and molecular biology at Grand Valley State University, which is on the west side of Michigan, and graduated there in 2018, and straight from there came down to the University of South Carolina, where I've been working on my Ph.D. in pharmaceutical sciences for the last several years, and very, very close to wrapping things up now.
So I have to throw in this little fun fact that I learned about you. I understand that you played clarinet.
I did play clarinet, yes. I actually played clarinet in the Michigan Marching Band all 4 years of undergrad, performed many, many times in the big house in front of the largest football crowds in America every game day Saturday. It was a great honor and great privilege to be able to do that.
And I think you might have played a little bit of saxophone as well?
A while back, yes. Most clarinet players tend to dabble in both, but yes, clarinet, played that for 11 years.
That's such a fun thing to know about you. We know that you have a life other than just, living in the lab all the time. Tell me how you ended up coming from Michigan to the University of South Carolina.
So this is a great story. It's actually related to how I got involved in science in general. When I was in high school, I was taking an AP chemistry course, and at the time, and still today, my dad, he works at a plating shop in Detroit, Michigan, and if you don't know what plating is a concept where you basically add thin pieces of metal to other pieces of metal. You've probably heard of gold-plated jewelry before. Well, he does this for airplane parts. At the time I was taking AP chemistry, my dad invited me for the day over Christmas break, said, "You're doing all these chemistry lab experiments, come see what we do in our chemical lab." And I spent the day there. It was amazing. The things I was learning in the classroom, titrations, acids, bases, things like that, I was seeing be applied in the real world. And I thought, wow, I love chemistry and you can do a job with this. This is great. That kept me motivated to pursue biochemistry and keep moving forward down the science path. And what happened is near the end of my bachelor's degree, I started reaching out, wanting to do a master's degree to pursue some more education, and I talked about this story. Dr. Eric Ramson at Grand Valley State University saw my story, and he had a project going on that was kind of conceptually related to plating. He said, well, I don't know if you want to do plating forever, but I do neuroscience research, and I have this project, and I think you might be interested. I ended up joining his lab where I learned this tool called fast scan cyclic voltammetry, where I learned how to make it more sensitive, using concepts similar to that of plating by modifying carbon fiber microelectrodes. And so it's very exciting getting to work from the analytical chemistry side of making this tool better. And while I was doing this for 2 years, I said, man, all my training right now is very biomedical science. It's disease research. I want to use this tool. And so it got me thinking, I think I want to do a PhD. I think this is the next step for me. I want to actually get to use this tool. What this tool is used for is used for measuring neurotransmitters in the brain, such as dopamine, serotonin. That's what brought me to South Carolina, and where eventually I ended up in touch with Dr. Jun Ju here in the College of Pharmacy, is because he was looking for someone with that expertise. And I said, well, I haven't done it at animals, but I can get everything going for you up to the best of my knowledge, and it was truly where I was meant to end up.
That's a great story. Now, since you've been here, you've received a number of accolades as a grad student. You received an F-31 grant from the National Institute on Drug Abuse through the National Institutes of Health. You've had papers published. You're a Spark Award recipient. You've been named a Breakthrough Scholar, and you've been able to travel to present your research. Talk a little bit about what all of that means to you and your career going forward.
This means the world to me to have been able to accomplish so many things, and I really have to thank my family and my mentor for being able to be in a position to accomplish these things. My mentors had a lot of support in guiding me to be able to accomplish this. He's supported me in my own personal goals and has always made me feel like I could balance work and life. And so one of the things I say that is really key to how I was able to accomplish all of these things is I've never felt terribly overwhelmed. I have been in a lab that's allowed me to breathe and take my time and do things at my own pace. I really attribute the successes I have to that and to my family supporting me, of course. I wouldn't be able to do all of those travel, exciting things, going to conferences without their support. It's been really great. I got to travel outside of the United States for the first time in my life, to go to India. That was very exciting, and I'm very, very grateful.
And you're doing all of this as a new mom.
Yes, I am doing all of this as a new mom. That's another thing I'm very, very grateful for my mentor. I've known for a very long time I have a reproductive disease called endometriosis that can impact being able to have children, and I actually went through my own journey during my Ph.D. of surgeries and medications to be able to have my son, and during that whole time my mentor was very supportive. He understood my goals. It made things so much easier to be able to balance pregnancy and motherhood and Ph.D. to have that support.
Let's talk a little bit about some of the specific research that you're doing. Of course, December 1st is World AIDS Day, and the work that you're doing with the FastScan cyclic voltammetry and how it supports your research with HIV. Talk about that and the significance of it.
The current problems we face and the current problems that people living with HIV face are very different than what they were 30 years ago. We now have combined antiretroviral therapies, or CART, and we have PrEP, and we have drugs that can help people with HIV live much longer, healthier lives. However, one of the caveats of them living longer that we're starting to see is this continued prevalence of what we call HIV-1 associated neurocognitive disorders, or HAND. And what these are they're symptoms related to impairments in memory, concentration. They can develop psychomotor impairments, and this affects the quality of life. We don't have any effective treatments to help people living HIV with these problems. And on top of that, people living with HIV experience comorbid depression at higher rates, comorbid substance use at higher rates than people without HIV, and we have nothing to help people living with these symptoms and with HAND. And so that's where our research is getting into, is finding targets, developing small molecules to prevent the effects of HIV, particularly in the brain, that might be causing these symptoms.
What got you interested in this particular research?
So I talked about how voltammetry and specifically brought me to South Carolina. That's because I really wanted to get involved in understanding the dopamine system. And so I talked about HIV impacting the brain. And one of the ways that it does this is there's a particular HIV protein called TAT that has long been shown through the work of Dr. Zhu's lab to impact the dopamine system in the brain through various different interactions it has with proteins that help maintain normal dopamine function in your brain. And so where my research is coming in, and what got me really interested in this, is I can use this tool, voltammetry, to probe and look at how this protein is affecting dopamine in the brain. And I can see dopamine levels in a brain in real time being released as a neuron is firing. I can compare that to control animals without the TAP protein and see, okay, how is this affecting dopamine? And then we can bring in different drugs to look at the mechanism. We can develop small molecules that might prevent these effects. And that's what's really interesting to me, is being able to see the development of a drug that can reverse these effects and be involved in that development that one day might lead to hopefully clinical trials and a drug that can provide protection against development of these neurocognitive disorders.
So you're getting ready to present your dissertation. What will be your next steps once that's completed and you've earned your doctorate?
So my future goals have remained consistent through my Ph.D. in that I plan to pursue a career as a professor, looking towards a tenure-track faculty position as an independent investigator, with the goal of continuing research in the field of substance use disorders, and particularly the intersection between viral infection and substance use. Many of us have heard of COVID by now, we all know it, and some of us have heard of long COVID. And there is research and things that we've learned from the HIV field in this susceptibility to substance use that is starting to come out in the context of COVID. And so what I've learned coming from this intersection of two very different fields, one is a neurodegenerative disease, the other is substance use, how do they interact? I want to take that unique set of knowledge and use it to address this new global health problem of COVID and how it's going to impact risk for substance use. And so that is my major goal for my future research as an independent investigator.
Sounds like a very worthwhile cause, given the issues that have arisen from COVID and the issues that we still have in regards to HIV. Sarah, thank you for taking some time to share with us what you've been working on, your aspirations, and thank you for being a part of the University of South Carolina College of Pharmacy.
Of course, thank you. Thank you to the college for all your support. Thank you for having me today.